Hello everyone, today I'm gonna show you 5 extensions to generate and customize your images within Stable Diffusion you really cannot miss. And to do that, I'm going to use Diffusion Hub. Diffusion Hub is a easy and efficient way of running Stable Diffusion, and it doesn't really matter what computer you're using, it doesn't matter how powerful your computer is, because you don't really need it. The only thing you need is an internet connection. You don't need to code, you don't need to install anything, you don't need to connect to a Google Drive. Everything is already stored inside an external drive and you will be able to download it whenever you want. After signing in, you can start using Diffusion Hub by launching it, so pressing on this launch button. And here you have different options that you can choose depending on your needs. The faster and the basic platforms are the same. What is changing are the computer characteristics you are connecting to. You can see here that with text to image, you can generate an image in 2 seconds, while with the basic, you are going to generate an image in 6 seconds. So it's slightly slower, but still good. While the faster and the basic options don't allow you to download additional extensions, but you are going to use extensions already provided by the Diffusion Hub team. With the basic expert platform, you can actually download the extension you want. So you can personalize your Stable Diffusion as you would do normally on your local computer. And finally, you have Koya. Koya is for training your own models. And I think this is still a work in progress, but the Diffusion Hub team is working on a daily basis for improving all of these options. So I'm sure that by the time I'm releasing this video, it will work perfectly already. I'm now going to launch my platform. I'm going to use the faster one for this tutorial. And it's going to take 1 minute or so for initializing the platform. And this is the main interface. As you can see, it's exactly the same as Automatic 1111 because it is Automatic 1111. And if you're familiar with that, I'm sure you won't have any issues for running it. Different from usual, you don't have the settings and the extensions tab, but if you want them, you can use the basic expert platform I showed you before. Anyway, in this platform, you still have all of the most important extensions like ControlNet or the forum or temporal kit and so on and so forth. If you want to download any model, you have the model downloader extension in here. It's pretty easy to use because you just need to add the URL to your model you want to download, and then you need to just specify what type of model it is, if it's a LoRa model, if it's a variational autoencoder, or if it's a checkpoint, and then the model will be automatically saved within the correct folder. Now let's see which are the 5 extensions you really cannot miss. Well, the first one is the most famous one, which is ControlNet. With ControlNet, we are applying a condition into our Stable Diffusion model in order to generate some pictures, some outputs based on that condition. So this condition can be a specific pose, it can be the sketch from a picture you want to generate, and so on and so forth. So I want to use this model here. So let's have a look if it's in here. I can type Dream Shaver. It doesn't look it's in here. It seems that the last one downloaded was the 63.1 baked variational autoencoder. So I'm going to download the number 8. I'll right click on this download button and then copy link address. Going back onto my model downloader, I'll paste the link in here. Choose checkpoint because this is actually a checkpoint. It says download result. It's ready to be downloaded. You can also change the name file if you want. If you're happy with these settings, you can start download. Download completed. So now if we go back to text to image and we look for Dream Shaper, it's not here. Oh, I need to refresh obviously. Now let's look for it again, and it's here. Here you go. Now I'm gonna copy the generation data for this picture. I'm going back into Diffusion Hub. I'll paste all of my settings and press generate. So it's giving me an error, it cannot find the upscaler. I'm going to remove the upscaler for now. We cannot download it in this version, but you can do it in the basic expert. And this is the picture I get using this model for now. I would like to generate a woman dressed like a warrior in this exact position. So let's try to do that with ControlNet. So I am going to upload my OpenPose picture for now, the mask. You need to enable ControlNet. I'm going to use Pixel Perfect as well. And then you don't need to use a preprocessor when you're using the mask. So preprocessor will be known, but the model you need to use will be OpenPose. Now you can change this back to known and just leave OpenPose in here. Then I can say that ControlNet is more important because I want to have the woman in exactly this position. Then I need to change a little bit the prompt in order to, get what I want. So I've changed the positive prompt slightly. I'm going to generate a 512 by 512 picture and I'm gonna press generate. So as you can see, I actually have this woman in the position I want, but this word is not really there, right? So we need to add another ControlNet unit. So you can use Canny, or if you have it and it's quite good, I would say you can use depth. This is the mask for the depth model. I'm going to use this, so I've uploaded. You need to enable again. You can press depth in here. Also in this case, you don't need a preprocessor because you are giving to the model already the depth mask it needs to use. So you just need to have depth in here. And then I'm gonna use ControlNet is more important and press generate. And now you can see this is the output image. Obviously it's not the best yet, but you can see that the lady is in the position we actually want, and you can see the sword as well, which is good. Now, if we look at the image, the face is not very good. The hands as well are not very nice. They are malformed. So this is where the second extension can help us. And I'm talking about the ADetailer, which you can find above ControlNet in here. With the ADetailer, we are going to use a model to detect and recognize objects in specific area in our images. So in this case, if you're using the face model, we are going to detect faces in our images. And if you use the hand model, which you can see here, you have hand YOLO, you can detect hands. You have also other models for detecting and recognizing other things, like MediaPipe is going to focus on the face mainly. But you can also download models from Hugging Face in case you need others, because these are more for realistic pictures and you cannot use the same for anime pictures. So to use the ADetailer, I'm not gonna go in too many details, but you need to enable ADetailer. You can use one or two models. If you're using the basic expert, you can also add others ADetailer model, not just two. But for now, we just need two. So in the first tab, I'm going to use the face in order to improve the face in my image. And in the second one, I'm going to use hand. Now, adjusting hands is very complicated. So it's very unlikely that you get perfect hands. But with faces, you usually get very good results. So the model is going to detect and recognize a face in your image, and it's going to draw a kind of red box on top of the face if you are trying to improve the face. And then it's going to improve the face within that area. It's like using in painting, really, but you don't have to go through all of the painting steps of creating the mask and improving it. Everything is going to be automatic and quicker. Also, I have already some default values. So this is not usually the case. And this comes from the Dream Shaper picture in here. When I did copy generation data, it copied also the data for the ADetailer. This was the data I copied and pasted from Dream Shaper. And you can see here the ADetailer was actually used for generating that picture. But when I copied and pasted in my Stable Diffusion, it didn't enable the ADetailer. So check exactly what's in that generation data, because sometimes you have these little things you don't actually see when you're using Stable Diffusion. I'm going to remove the blonde girl because I don't want to have a blonde girl. I'm happy with what we had before. And then you have some other settings you can change here in the ADetailer. Usually the defaults one are very useful, are very good. But I would say that the most important, if you go into in painting, is the in paint denoising strength, which is a value that goes from 0 to 1. And it works exactly like the denoising strength, right? So consider that this is our input image. It's going to detect the face, it's going to apply a mask on the face, and it's going to change the face. So the higher the value, the more different will be the new generated face compared to the previous one. The lower this value, the more similar the face will be. So you will see very small improvement. So if you want a big improvement, I would recommend to increase this value, not increasing too much because you can get something completely different. And then another important value is the detection model confidence threshold. This is very important because it's based on the confidence score. The confidence score indicates how much the model is confident about what's in the detected area. So with this detection model confidence threshold, we are telling the model, consider all of the detected area higher than 0.3. If we increase it to 1, which is 100%, we are telling the model, consider and change all of the area for which the model is 100% confident that that area includes an image. And this is very difficult that happened. It's very low the probability that the model is going to recognize something 100% as a face or 100% as hands. So I would recommend to use this around 0.4, 0.5, and then in case the model doesn't detect the face or more faces, you may want to reduce this value. If the model instead detects too many objects and you don't want it to detect all of these objects, you probably want to increase this value. So I'm gonna keep it for now at 0.4. And I'm gonna press generate. And here you can see the improved face. Maybe I increased the inpainting too much, so maybe I can use 0.6. And with 0.6 we can see how the face has improved. Hands are still not the best. Maybe we should increase the denoising strength for the hands as well. But they are still not very good. As I was saying before, with hands it's very difficult to get good results. So this is definitely an extension you need to have in your Stable Diffusion Automatic 1111. Now let's talk about the extensions number 3. Not many knows about this extension, which is actually very, very useful because it allows you to actually generate an image deciding where to put the object. You can also use different LoRa's for different regions in your image. I'm talking about regional prompter. Let's refresh this page. I copy and paste some settings I've got from Dreamshaper again, so nothing really special. I'm just gonna remove the hearts fix again, and I have this seed here, and we open regional prompter. So the first thing we need to do is to activate it. We have two types of generation mode. We have attention and latent. The default one is attention and it's great. If you want to use different LoRa's in different regions, I would recommend to use latent. It's a little bit slower, but it works for distinguishing different LoRa's models. So with regional prompter, we can divide the image into different regions. You can use horizontal or vertical split mode. And you can use this divide ratio for dividing the regions. So for example, if I use 1 semicolon 1 semicolon 1 and using this horizontal split mode, you can visualize and make template, you will see what comes out. So we are actually dividing the region into 3 rows. Now, these are equally split regions, right? So you can decide to use 1, 1, 2. So the last row will be bigger, like this. Instead of using 1, 1, 2, you can also use the number of pixels of the image you want to use. So if you have, I don't know, a height of 100, for example, you can use 20, 20, 60. And if you want to add columns, you can add comma and numbers. So using this divide ratio, we are creating 2 rows at the top, and then we have 2 columns at the bottom. And then we need to use this template in the prompt. Now let's see how to first do the very simple one, which is using the break. So in this case, we are using break. So you have a blonde break because you're going to create another region. Blue shirt break, you create another region, and red skirt. Let's see what happens. And this is working pretty well. Now I'm gonna show you quickly a more complicated one. I've chosen this positive prompt while keeping all of the other settings. Also the seed is gonna be the same. What I wanna change in here is split mode horizontal and divide duration 111, so very simple one. But I also wanna use the common prompt. With the common prompt, you are going to use a basic prompt, which in my case is this one, for each region. So the model is going to apply this text to all of the 3 regions. So you're gonna have a 20-year-old lady, blah, 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 plus a blonde in the first region. You're going to have a 20-year-old lady, blah, 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 blue shirt in the second row. And in the last row, you will have a 20-year-old lady, blah, 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 brown skirt. Now, when you create the prompt, it's very important to keep in mind that you need to use the template in here. So you need to copy the template and you paste it in here. And then you need to add the common prompt before this add com. Then you need to add the description of the first region before the add row, the description of the second region after the first add row or before the second add row, and then you describe the last region. We press generate, and this is the picture we generated. And the woman again is having a blue shirt, a brown skirt, and she's blonde. You can use this add row, add column, or break within also the negative prompt. Just make sure that you're using the same format as the positive prompt. If you go into the main GitHub page, you can see how many things you can actually do. If you look at this picture they have generated using the 2D region assignment, it's unbelievable. Like, it's actually telling the model to create a window in this little region, actually a blue sky, and then green hair, and then the bookshelf, and then here is describing a messy desk, and then the orange dress and the sofa for the lady. Now, the last 2 extensions I want to show you are quite similar. One is Canvas Editor and the other one is Photopea. Canvas Editor is similar to Canvas. It's this tab here, and it's quite useful because you have a lot of free images from Unsplash, but you can also upload your own images, or you can get images from text to image or image to image once you have generated them. If I click now on text to image, I have all of the images I generated. You can use it before or after generating an image. So you can use it before for, I don't know, getting some interesting layouts and then using in painting on it, or you can use it on ControlNet. So if you want picture of a woman or a man on a specific pose you like from a splash, you can use that in ControlNet. You just need to go at the bottom of this tab and you can send to image or send to text to image for ControlNet, or you can send it to the image to image tab for in painting. If you go into layers, you can play around with these layers. You can move them up and down to send one image or the other into background. You can remove them, you can lock them, you can do a lot of things. You can also hide them. Let's remove them now. You can resize the canvas. You can use some preset ones, like for example Instagram stories, or you can choose a personalized one from here. Or you can create some cool cards as well. It's very easy to use. It's user-friendly, really. You can add effects like shadows. You can add text stroke. You can change the color. And then again, you can send it to ControlNet, for example. So let's send it to image. And then you can also send it to InPaint, and then you can make any modification you would like to, like red lips. And then you have Photopea. Photopea is very similar to Photoshop. So for who is familiar with Photoshop, I'm sure you won't have any issue with that. Obviously, Photoshop is not for free, whilst Photopea is free within Stable Diffusion, so I think this is great. And as for Canvas Editor, you can use Photopea before or after generating an image. So I can send this to Photopea in here, and I can change the gradient, for example, having a little bit darker on this side and less darker on it. On this other side, you can change the opacity of the gradient. I'm going to use like 14%, it's fine. So you simply do that, and you are going to apply. You see, there is a kind of gradient on top of the image now. You have the history here on the top right, so you can go back if you're not happy with any change you made. Then you can also apply some text on top of the image. Then if you want to change the text, you can increase the size in here. You can change, the style. And click on this arrow for moving the text around. And maybe, given that this is not very clear, we can create a kind of background, maybe of a different color, I don't know, like that. And you can move the layers around. And then if you select both of the layers, you can move them together as well. You can transform, increasing it like this. It's quite nice. So apart from this, you can use Photopea also for creating images, and I find it very useful when you need to aggregate different images together and then send them into image to image. Let me show you an example. So let me upload 2 images, 1 and 2, and I want to generate a picture of this man with this background, and then I want to transform the image to be in a Ghibli style. So what you can do, you can click on this little tool here, and then you can select object. So you can see now that the object has been selected. Right click, you can create a layer via copy, and now we have this subject, and we can move it into here like that. Now here we want to maybe adjust the picture a little bit, because just to give it a little bit of perspective. I know this is not the best, so something like that, for example. And then once you are happy with the combination, you can scroll down and send to text to image ControlNet, and you have it here. And I want to use Kenny. I want to use any Laura. Let's see if there is anything. I think this should be fine. And I want to use Studio Ghibli. I'm going to copy the generation data from here, and I'm going to paste it in here. I remove the high resolution fix for now. Let's double check that they have Ghibli style. Oh, it's here. We can close this now. Then I'm using this as a ControlNet with Kenny. My prompt is more important in this case. And then I'm gonna use this image size more or less like a landscape. And now this obviously is too much, so maybe I can do something like that. I'm going to change the seed. I'm going to change the positive prompt for being 1 boy instead of 1 girl. And I've changed also, like I removed some of the other descriptions like earrings or face paint, because I don't want them. And here we go. If you want to see your files, all of the outputs you have generated with Diffusion Hub, you can simply click on this Your File on the top, and you will have all of your images, videos, text-to-image, grids, models, everything in here. You can select them and you can download them. You can select more than one and you can download them. So it's quite useful. They are always there. So if you terminate your session and you come back onto your Diffusion Hub platform, you will find them there. And you can really download them whenever you want to. You can also upload images. So this will allow you to use this uploaded image in Photopea or Canvas. And then if you want to terminate your session on Diffusion Hub, make sure you press on this terminate button. Otherwise, the credits you are using, the credits you have on your account are just going to finish without you using Stable Diffusion. So it's really not worth it. It's going to ask you again if you want to actually close your session, and you press yes. And that's it for today. I hope this was useful. We've been through 5 extensions you really cannot miss within Stable Diffusion, and we had a look at Diffusion Hub, which I find really helpful and useful. If you want to try Diffusion Hub, this is going to be free for the first 30 minutes. Afterwards, you need to add some credits. I'm going to share my link in the descriptions in case you want to add more credits, and if you use that, you're going to have 10% discount. So yeah, I hope this was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. See you at the next video. Bye.